How'd you sleep last night? I slept well. I did. I was up later than I normally am. I was at a Miss America pageant, and I had to travel to get there. Now, there are 50 states, so there are 50 pageants, and then you have a winner from each state, and then they go to the Miss America pageant. And that's, of course, that's an old thing we've been doing in this country. And I live in South Dakota, and we do our own version, and I'm told it's pretty darn good. The performance standards are pretty excellent. So if you're ever in the neighborhood, buy yourself a ticket and enjoy something, and maybe you will also observe something that I saw last night. They have something called the Forever Sisters, where they bring up all the people who have ever won the state pageant, and they put them up on stage. And they're called the Forever Sisters because once you're in the sisterhood, well, you're in the sisterhood. And this is actually quite accurate, kind of interesting to watch. Well, anyway, you see the new ones, and then they go back in time, boop, 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 boop. And I want to say there was 25, 30 on stage, and the one that was the oldest that I can remember was Miss South Dakota in 1971. So what you saw was how people age. And, I'd say predominantly they aged well. And then you ask yourself, what does that even mean? What does it mean to age well? Well, I suppose that most of us think about that in terms of appearance, right? And when we don't age well, we try to cover it up with, hair tonics or color our hair. I don't bother with it. I've always looked older than my age. I mean, you just go whatever. And then you realize the important thing, aging well really has nothing to do with your external appearance. It's not about how you look. It's about who you are. And that can be seen. Let me tell you how. Now, I've done all kinds of funerals. You've heard that. And I've noticed something unfailingly interesting. You don't think a soul has an appearance. You would say a soul is kind of an invisibility, the life, just the thought of being alive, that there's no physical appearance to that, but there is. When you see somebody dead, you only see half the person. You see the thing that they lived in. You see the body. When you go to a funeral and you see that person in the casket, that lifeless thing, you go, ooh, that doesn't look like them. Yeah, that's because their soul's gone. All they look like is the shell that held the soul. Oh, I love that sound. Can you hear it? It's raining a little bit. I have a tin shed off the back. When the rain hits that, makes one of my favorite sounds. Well, anyway, if you want to age well according to the society that we live in, well, you take care of yourself, you eat your vitamins, you eat well, you exercise well, maybe even get a little external work done. That's maybe how you age well. But if you want to age really well, you take care of the things that will nourish your soul. Because the soul does have an appearance. And you can sense it in other ways, but you can really see it in the eyes. If you practice the daily regimens of gratitude, if you maintain that curiosity to seek and find the person behind the mask, if what spills out of you is happiness, not frustration, or anger or bitterness. That's not because your life was more or less, troublesome. It's because you practiced the daily discipline of searching for some ways that your cup overflowed. Right? I looked this up because I thought it was interesting. The glass half empty, the glass half full. That's actually a fairly new part of the zeitgeist, as they would say. I think it's only a little bit more than 100 years old that somebody started referring to your glass being half empty or half full. Scripture refers to something that's much older and I think truer. Your cup overflows. You just have to see how. The eyes are the window to the soul. What is in your heart spills out of your mouth, but also out of your eyes. And the trick is to each day, find the practical ways to be not a great person. Nobody can do that. We're all jerks. But you can be a better person. Maybe even someday a good person. Oh my goodness gracious. I forgot. Okay. This is on a horizontal platform. And we spew it out all different kinds of ways. And depending on what platform you're seeing this on, you can either subscribe, or you can comment, or you can share it, or you can hit a notification button. Basically, I'm asking you to engage with it. Of all the things that I do, this interestingly enough, this very raw, basic, strange conversation that you and I are having is meaningful to a small but tight group of people. And if you like the conversation, if you think that it calms your heart and gives you a sense of, insight, then I'm glad you're here, and invite somebody else, because that's the point of this time you and I have together. Anyway, there's another video right here, I guess. You can watch that. And also, if you would be so kind, have a great day, okay? Have a great day. I'm Jeff Gould. God bless.